Looks like a new beta test feature just came out for Jambassadors, which is really exciting. The last one, Fit Check, was absolutely amazing. This one, which is for den items, is probably just as amazing. Before I go on to this feature, let's update you about Fit Check, which should be released sometime this month, September of 2024. They changed a little bit from the beta that I had in my previous beta testing video, and here's what it looks like now. This probably will get a little smaller, but the UI has changed to look more like fabric or a blueprint, and you're able to now be in the dressing room instead of that same background as where you would normally be in that original beta. You are able to toggle all the items except the item that you're changing with this button, and this is a little weird because my tail disappears because I'm wearing a tail, but that's okay. It has I'm not sure if it has more options, but it may have more options now for moving it. It also has turning and pivot options and size as well. For tail items, they limited the first section in case of misuse towards those items. And some specific items like the unicorn horn, and I'm not sure if any others, have been limited and cannot be used with Fit Check. But most items are still available to use, and it's still amazing, and I still use it in basically every single look that I have. You have up to 50 items to be saved on one animal type. This is by animal, so for example, if you have 4 different types of legendary eagle, you can make up to 200 items, 50 on the stone, 50 on the timber, etc. This is based on the animal itself, not your specific animal. If you have 100 unicorns, you only have 50 items. If you have 1 raccoon, you have 50 items. It is by animal. But it's really exciting. I think that everyone's going to enjoy it, and I cannot wait to see the amazing looks that people have. Alright, first before I show anything, I would just like to mention that this feature is, again, in beta. So this feature is only available to Jambassadors who are in this program as of right now, and nobody else. So that means that everything here that I show is subject to change. Something might be different, as you could see looking back at my old Fit Check videos versus the UI. You can see that some things have obviously changed. That could be exactly the same for this feature right here. Or there's a possibility they could scrap it and not bring it to the game altogether. So just remember that before you take anything that I show you too seriously. But let's actually show the new feature that I am going to be talking about today, which doesn't seem to have an official name to my knowledge, although I think it will probably be called something like Advanced Den Decorating. It's not the most catchy name ever, but that's basically what it is. So what do you notice that is different here? You might say that, wow, that pack banner is gigantic. And your answer is, yeah, it is amazingly big, as well as this elegant flower and ottoman. This display case is a little bigger as well and put into the ground a little even. And this rug is, wow, it's much bigger than what it normally is, as well as these pillars, which are really cool because I love how these pillars look. I always wanted a type of pillar that you're able to put in front of your den, you know, like stone pillars that are in old houses and government buildings and stuff like that. So it's really cool to have something like this available to use nowadays. Although I don't have the sundial, which was the original item that I was gonna use for this. Oh, it's not sundial. I don't know what it's called. So there are a few different things you could do with this advanced den decorating. You click an item here. Let's take this treasure chest, for example. You have many different things you could do with this den decorating menu, and if you were on mobile and were able to pinch instead of pressing these corner buttons, which all these buttons still work the exact same way. If you didn't want to use this at all, you could just hide it and it will be over here in the corner. There will probably also be a turn off button somewhere in the future, like advanced shopping. So how this works is you have 3 different settings similar to Fit Check. You have the moving around setting. It moves it up and down, to the sides, and back and front. You got basically all 3 degrees of direction. You could also turn collision on or off. So that means that I will bump into this chest now, or I could go right through it if collision was off. You have these turning things. This pivot allows you to change the center of gravity for your den item. So let's say I wanted the bottom of the chest to show like this. I could have that. Or if I wanted to move the center of gravity to the middle, I could flip this item upside down completely, which is pretty awesome. That is what I used for this. This is the painter's column that is flipped with this button. completely 180, and it looks like a brand new item. I love it. Most people, unless you have the free cam, won't even be able to see that top paintbrush, so I think it's perfectly fine. And the next thing, probably the most exciting thing about these items, is you can make them gigantic. You can make the items gigantic, which is awesome. You could also make them super tiny, which is also equally as awesome. If you have a specific item that you would love to see giant or tiny, now you have that ability. There are also some other interesting things about this that I've learned. One thing is there are little tick marks you could turn on with this snap button, and it basically works like a ruler. This works really well for stuff that's symmetrical, like these candelabras, for example. I wanted them to be symmetrical, so I turned the snap on to probably here, because I don't need it to be this precise, although it's nice to have that option. I turned it there, and I made a symmetrical one over here. I did notice that a negative about this is when you grow an item, the hitbox sometimes becomes gigantic, especially if the item you had originally was very big. It's a little worrying. Okay, let's put away this chest. But yeah, it's a really cool feature that I am excited to continue playing with. Now let's show you some of the stuff that I created here. So first, I already talked about this, but I made some pillars to make it look like an old mansion. I recently went on vacation, and we went to some late 1800s, early 1900s mansions, and this den reminded me of it, first off. The second thing is that I really wanted to remake the pillars or whatever, so yeah, here we go. It looks pretty cool. This den isn't fully decorated, obviously. I might choose to fully decorate it later. I'm not sure yet. Stuff like this, the banner, I really like how big it is. It's very cool. And again, rugs are buffed so much with this update, especially small rugs. Like, for example, the lodge rug is super amazing to use now because of its intricate pattern. So right now, this item is nice, right? But if you grow it, the pattern smooths out and it becomes even more intricate now. You could just zoom into it and wow, that is very nice. Another thing that's very interesting is masterpieces and eventually master blocks. Right now with this update, master blocks are glitched. You can't even move them without this den decorating. They'll fix that eventually. Probably next update, maybe, I would guess. This is the normal size of masterpiece right here. That's the normal size that everybody knows. You're able to make these masterpieces giant or tiny. This giant masterpiece is really cool. If you really want to fill a void like here, like if you got a big wall and want a very nice masterpiece like this to be put on the wall, it's great to fill in. Another thing, this is the smallest a masterpiece can go, and it zooms in as well, so it's kind of cool. If you're wanting to use this to do some sort of fill magic, that's one thing you could do. You could probably even like hide the masterpiece in the wall if you really wanted to zoom in a specific area. If I had another copy of this masterpiece, I would go and put the whole Leora Jambassadors set on this wall just to show you. It would probably all fit within this one little area right here in comparison to the giant exhibit it is in my den right now on my spare, which is really cool. That's awesome. Another thing that's really cool about these features is how display cases work with them. So display cases, you're able to show like basically anything. You're able to show clothing items like this Firefly friend here, as well as den items like the Founder's Map, for example. I usually use that in this display case. And even pets. This is the biggest this display case gets. If you want to make like a museum or something, I think this would be pretty cool to have this big. Like, it fills up so much space, it really works well. And then another display case is over here of the Anniversary Prize Pal. Absolutely gigantic. If I tried to get close to it, I'd probably get put inside, which is a little scared. So far, one flaw about this feature is that you're not able to actually choose an item stackability. So, for example, I like this rectangular wooden door item, but as you can see here, it does not stack over these moss patches right there, unfortunately. There is a little way to get around this. You're able to turn the pivot to center, and then you could move this and it stands right up again, which is what I wanted. But this doesn't work for most items, because items like the Jambassador plaque here are a little small. You need a solid floor to actually do this. If I was doing this, for example, in mid-air, like you'll see a little later, that's not possible. Another very cool thing about these den changes are how it works with natural items. Like this here is the moss patch flipped completely upside down. It's really cool. It's like grass or whatever. I really like how it looks. And I liked this wisteria tree when it came out, although I thought it was a little too small. But with this advanced den decoration, bam, it is nice and big now. And this goes for all these different trees here as well. The bald cypress tree at this size is amazing. I need to get like 20 of them and redecorate my Bayou bungalow now, because that would be absolutely amazing. You're able to also grow pets and animals in pet models and animal models to be bigger than you are, like Green Pebble here. Unfortunately, this doesn't work for normal pets. So no, you cannot have a big Green Pebble just walking around your den, super gigantic, or you cannot make a baby jumping spider as small as an actual spider in real life. That is just not possible. You might have saw on my Instagram that I posted a line of flamingos from smallest to biggest, and you might have gotten hyped a little bit. That was my teaser about this new feature, and it basically shows you the gist of what you need to know. You're able to turn the items however you want, but I think the most important thing is obviously the size differences, which are pretty amazing. This right here is a normal smoothie hut. You're able to normally walk in this, and it's pretty decent in size, right? We have this one here, which is the smallest you can make the smoothie hut. This is like so small that even my little pet raccoon here probably wouldn't be able to work it if he wanted to, right? And then we have the biggest here, which is gigantic. Like, this is way too big. I don't think anyone could use this. And, I mean, I guess that's a good thing, because that means that you're able to make it obviously smaller. And it's very cool to just have items like this at this different sizes. It's very cool that you could just choose an item that you want, and it's also really hard to go back into an old den and actually figure out what you want to change. That's what I've noticed, at least. So this is my retro rink den. I have only changed a few things since I got this new den decoration tool in here, because everything else I pretty much feel is perfect already. And that's one thing that is a little weird about this feature. If you have a den and chose the items already, there's a high likelihood that you might not actually want to change how they look as of right now. But if you're starting from scratch, from what I've seen, yeah, you're gonna use the den creation tool on basically every item that you have in the den. Some items that I have changed already include this little wood bird item that exists. I put 2 in this den, so I changed them both to be the exact same size, and they were a little too big earlier, so I really like their size now in comparison. Another thing is I scaled down the plan a little bit. I think I'm going to probably do that for the same one over here. And I scaled down the masterpiece as well to make it feel more like a real piece of art that you would have in a normal house. Another item that I scaled down a little bit is the butterfly painting. It was a little too big on this wall, and originally I had a nocturnal octopus painting here, but that was way too big. So I might change that back to the nocturnal octopus painting. I don't know yet. And then some items like the origami window I will make a little smaller. I made the house plan a little smaller as well as this masterpiece. I made the monoliths here bigger to make them look like actual metal beams, which is pretty cool. I made this rug a tiny bit bigger and the racetrack a little bit smaller, so it doesn't actually mess with me that much. I also turned collision off on this racetrack so I don't stand on top of it, which is awesome. I made like the Jambassador plaque a little smaller so it fits on that small wall. Stuff like that. Very, very small changes in the grand scheme of things for this den. Show you what the best things from this feature, in my opinion, are. So first, we have the ability to make productivity items like the paint seed tree and pet sitter and eco items, which are normally eyesores in your den, way smaller. So you see that this pet sitter is basically the same size as I am, and I could probably easily hide it in this ice sculpture, for example. This is the normal size of the ice sculpture. I could probably hide it in there if I really wanted to. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but these are paint seed trees in there. But it just looked like a normal bush, didn't it? Yeah, it's pretty cool. We also have the ability to make your den teleporter smaller. So this is the smallest I think it goes. I made it look a little bit like a little door into the tree. So we go through the teleporter and fall through the void, and here's my favorite thing that I made with this so far. Originally, what I was going to do when I got this tool was I was going to make this flowery ship float through the air and make like a village-looking thing. I don't know what exactly, airships or whatever. Unfortunately, this flowery ship isn't actually stackable, so I had to use the den tool on normal grass right here to get it off of the grass as much as possible, and this is the best I could have gotten. It's nice, but it's not exactly what I originally wanted. You can see here that there are like floating boxes and pathways and a floating island, and there's falling boxes. It's just so cool. I especially love how these boxes look because of how the angling works. They look way farther down into the void that I'm standing on right now in comparison to how far they actually are. And that's because these boxes are actually scaled down and are really small. So you're able to see that, yeah, wow, the void is powerful, I guess. One of the main things that popped into my head when making this different scene is the different Minecraft builds that exist in the world, and how amazing some builders for that game really are. You're able to see stuff that looks almost realistic, and real looking gravity, even though the blocks are placed that they won't move. So that's exactly what I use as my inspiration for this little scene right here. And especially the boxes, I think it looks amazing. I also have to mention I love the fan that I put on this ship. It really makes it look a lot more lively and not still, because that's what I want. I want it to look like it's moving. I don't want it to look still at all. And I hopefully got that picture correct, although I'm not sure. You could also see that I roped off the ship onto the tree here with these swings. I think that den decoration in general will benefit greatly from this. And dens won't become just something that people forget, hopefully. They'll actually become something that people really care about in an insane and lovely amount. Especially with how masterpieces and master blocks are also going to be scalable and move around with stuff like this. I wouldn't doubt that people are going to make amazing creations that even I cannot fathom at this time with this amazing feature. If you thought the fit check with the outfits is amazing, just imagine that someone's going to, I don't know, create a realistic looking facade of a real house with master blocks or something like that. It's just going to be really amazing. And another thing that's really awesome is you're able to now move your item in more than just 8 directions on PC. So I'm able to make den decoration videos if I really wanted to now. I used to always have to do it on my iPad because whenever I decorate a den, I always use the move your fingers instead of the arrow keys to make a specific angle, which was not available on PC until now with this feature. What do you feel about this new den decoration feature? As you can see, I am hyped and can't wait to use this even more. But what do you feel about it? What's your favorite idea that you have brewing in your mind to use this when it comes out eventually? Which we don't know when it will come out, but it will be interesting nonetheless. Which of the creations that I showed you was your favorite? Probably my favorite is obviously that floating island that I made. Unfortunately, I ran out of den space in that den, so I'm going to have to either clear the rest of the den or kind of restart it. That's another problem that seems to happen. If you like my content, then why not subscribe? And with that, this is Brad Stormer, storming out.